Hello my friends, today's episode of Some Couple in a Room Reviewing Fictional Pirates is brought to you by Yu-Gi-Ohs! They stay crunchy, even in milk. Link down in the description. Not really, it's not a real link, but if you want to look at our sponsor the whole time and you want to look them up, there you go, they're right there. If you don't know the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, now let's go ahead and hop right into this chapter review. But before we do, my name is Richard, this is my wife Claire,
Hello.
and we are One Piece of a Dream. Let's go ahead and hop right into this chapter review for One Piece chapter 1080. The chapter is titled The Legendary Hero, obviously in reference of Garp. And we first see a cover story where we see Kawamatsu and Hiyori, and they are currently playing with an origami bird, watching it gracefully fly away.
Very cute.
Very cute, very graceful. Now, moving on into the important stuff of the chapter. The chapter opens up on Hachinosu, the pirate island, and we see that Kobe is on the run, and we see that currently Kobe is leading a prison break to escape from, Blackbeard's sort of impelled down thing. I mean, he's even got the head jailer, ex-head jailer of impelled down, kind of like in charge of all this. So it's kind of interesting that Blackbeard's quite literally running his own little Hachinosu impelled down sort of thing going on here.
Who do you think the other prisoners actually are?
Probably just random people and stuff. I mean, well, we're going to learn one of them that's more important in a little bit. But we do see that all of Blackbeard's grunt pirates are currently trying to apprehend Kobe, and we get a discussion between them about how they need to turn him into Cross Guild because Kobe, his hero title, makes him worth 5 stars. And if you don't know what the 5 stars mean, well, the 5 stars are each equivalent to about 100 million berries, or one treasure chest with about that much gold in it. And they're essentially just explaining how this works. So Kobe has a bounty from Cross Guild of about 500 million berries. The typical marine captain is usually only worth 100 million berries. So it gives us an idea of, if we want to scale things, of how
I would say importance has to do with it.
I want to say that we could probably take the typical strength of a captain, and Kobe's probably actually worth 5 of those, so we could probably, if we want to try to use this as power scaling, which this is One Piece, you really should never use bounties as a method of power scaling, but if we wanted to, it does give us an idea of threat against usually the world government. In this case, it's against the pirates. This is how the pirates perceive Kobe. So Kobe's putting in that work. I mean, he's 5 times his rank. So that's not bad. But that's only because he's got that hero title because of the Rocky Port incident. We see that Avala Pizarro has actually taken control of the giant skull in Pirate Island. And he's using
really gross.
It does. And he kind of is using it as like a megaphone because he actually has the island fruit, which we get told later on. And it basically just lets him put his face all over the island. It doesn't just, it's not like totally strictly meant to be used on like the island itself. Apparently he can put his face in like buildings and other things, so I don't know why it's called the island fruit. It should just be called the anything fruit. It reminds me of Pika. Kind of remember, like, if you guys remember when Zoro defeated Pika, he was able to make his face into like stone and stuff because he was a stone man. He could like literally make himself into like a castle and stuff.
Oh, Pika.
Yeah, and Zoro cutting him up, whatever. But basically, the pirates are currently talking to Pizarro as Pizarro is giving them the order to capture Kobe. They're saying, can we kill him? And Pizarro's like, no, we need him alive to hand over to Cross Guild. We want his bounty. He's worth a lot of money. And we see Kobe is currently carrying a ball and chain as if it's his baby, and he's trying to get out of there, acting as a decoy to allow the other prisoners to get off the island. Because everybody's like, well, he's a saint. He's such a good person because,
What a hero.
you know, we wouldn't have made it this far without Captain Kobe. We see that Shiryu of the Rain and Pizarro are currently having a conversation inside of the giant skull, which they were using as a sort of panopticon or just a guard tower to basically watch over the entire island and be able to see the happenings with the prisoners in their current prison break. Basically, Avala Pizarro does not want to get involved because we just finished repairing the Rocky Port. So since Avala...
Fix it again.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He says, no, I'm good. And I think that we should just, you know, sit back and let them take care of it. I don't think that we should be the ones to go down there and just mess everything up again. You know, the Rocky Port, it's going to cost a lot of money to rebuild it again.
Hold on a minute. Them not getting involved is not going to change the fact that it's going to be destroyed.
Well, that, and he also says that Teach gets pissed off at them when they cause so much damage. I guess Teach doesn't want to destroy the island.
It's going to get destroyed either way.
It will. So, I mean, they really should be getting involved, but it's an excuse to sit back and be lazy idiots, which Blackbeard did say they were idiots not that long ago when he was trying to apprehend Boa Hancock. But after we see their conversation, we see that Vasco Shot is currently sitting on a liquor bubble he created. We get an introduction to his devil fruit as well, the liquor fruit. It is a weird one. And Avalo says that he wants to burn down the entire town. Very good way to use the alcohol fruit since alcohol is so flammable. I guess if you were to just douse everything in it and then throw a match, I guess your power would be pretty good. However, I don't really know how well that would actually fare against, like, almost everyone in One Piece. I mean, literally, if you guys remember right, Usopp tried to do that to Luffy, like, pre-time skip when they had their fight, and it didn't even work. Like, Luffy still won the fight, and he got completely...
he got burnt up.
Yeah, he got caught in it, but that was literally gas that got lit on fire, caused an explosion, and Luffy did get injured, but he didn't die. So, like, I think for the typical person, I would say that Kobe at this point has got to be stronger than pre-time skip Luffy at the very least. But then Avalo Pizarro essentially tells Vasco Shot that that's a terrible idea. Destroying the town will just make Teach even more pissed off, and it's just not happening. We can't do that. Then we see San Juan Wolf, and he has the enlarge and large fruit. It allows him to be colossal. Yeah, he's sleeping. He wants nothing to do with anything. He's too big to care. He's like, I'm just gonna take a nap. Yeah, he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a fat but normally human Ors. Of course, we know this is a devil fruit, so it means nothing. It's definitely interesting to look at, just based on the design, like the skull on his belt. It just kind of reminds me of it. But Kobe basically is talking about how escaping on foot might not be possible, and immediately after we get a flashback. This flashback is Blackbeard when he first apprehended Kobe. We see Kuzan/Aokiji in the room speaking with them, and Blackbeard wants to make a deal with the world government. His idea is that since Kobe has the hero title, if I were to turn you into, well, essentially not turn you in, but if I was to use you as a bargaining chip with the world government, yeah, a ransom, if you will, then I want the world government to make this into a real kingdom, a respected actual kingdom that the world government grants protections to and respects as an actual nation.
What a dream.
Yeah, a kingdom of pirates. Essentially, he wants this to be Libertalia without being Libertalia, even though it's already Libertalia. But he wants it to be a government-respected version of Libertalia. So, Blackbeard, we know he has the will of Rocksteady back. He's just taking it slow and easy, trying to work his way up the ladder before he gets world domination. He wants country domination. I mean, he already owns the nation. He just doesn't want to have to deal with the government anymore, dipping into his business. But I think stealing Kobe had the opposite effect, because what you're about to see coming up, Blackbeard may have made a mistake.
A minor miscalculation.
Yeah, it's a little it's just teensy-weensy one. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he won't lose Kobe or anything. Kobe tells Blackbeard that it would be useless to try to use me as any kind of negotiating chip to bargain with, because I am a member of SWORD. And then Kuzan's like, I know what that is. You can't, yeah.
That's a shame.
He's like, that's a shame, Blackbeard, and it's not gonna work. Because SWORD essentially is basically Marines that have resigned, for lack of a better word. They have resigned to the world government. However, they get to keep their outfits, whatever, and do whatever they want. So they're free to attack
However
Yonko.
That works. That doesn't really make much sense.
It doesn't.
Carry on.
But they're free to attack the Yonko at will, and anybody else, basically doing whatever they want. But if the world government decides they don't want anything to do with them anymore, they are free to just cut them off at any time. So if SWORD were to make a mistake and the world government really doesn't like it, they do something too crazy, the world government could be like, yeah, we have nothing to do with them, they're not actual Marines. But we actually get something sort of similar to this in One Piece Film Z, where we see Zephyr has essentially started his own version of the Rogue Marines. I guess this was kind of like an idea that Oda might have, maybe he already had it, or maybe he just now decided like to implement it after seeing that, where they have a sort of code of Marines that are able to do whatever they want.
Keep in mind that is a movie, though.
Yeah, but in this case, instead of the world government being at war with them and wanting to stop them, they actually approve of their actions to a degree. So basically, Kobe could never be an admiral or live up to his dream. He's basically resigned at this point and could pretty much never be promoted. He's stuck at his rank, and I guess Kobe did this intentionally and has accepted this fate. So I guess he gave up on the idea of becoming an admiral, and at this point is very happy with his position and will never go past captain. But his power will likely skyrocket well beyond that, unless he can just go walk back into his position at any time if he decides that he wants to leave SWORD and go back to the Marines.
I don't know if it's going to be that simple.
Probably not. Could go whatever way. I mean, it's not like when you quit a job, you can't reapply later. So it's very much a possibility that as long as Kobe's record is clean and he's still viewed as the hero of the Marines, that he could potentially end up getting back in if he wanted to, which could allow him to one day realize his dreams. However, with the way this chapter is going and with the, the hero title and stuff that Kobe has, just like Garp, it kind of makes me think that he's gonna go more of a Garp-esque route and he may never see admiral status. And it may be because Kobe does not agree with what the Celestial Dragons do.
Which
just
is
like
understandable.
Garp. It's very
completely understandable.
Yeah, completely understandable. Who would? No one in their right mind with ethical morals would see what the Celestial Dragons do and then actually agree with that and want to continue to help participate in something that allows them to continue their unrighteous and just screwed up actions. But essentially, after Kuzan explains that Kobe is a waste of time to be used as a bargaining chip, we see that Blackbeard doesn't give a crap, and he's like, I'm gonna try it anyway because you have the hero title. I think they'll go for it. So yeah, I don't care what the ex-admiral and what you have to say. I'm just gonna do it anyway. And if it doesn't work, then I guess whatever, I'll just give you over to Crosskill. Although Blackbeard does say this in a way that's kind of funny, where he says that if things don't go my way, I can just give the government a bloody nose, which is an interesting way of putting things. But this results in Kobe being locked up in Blackbeard's little prison setup on Hachinosu.
And he's only free now because Perona found him and decided, hey, maybe I should hire this guy to help me save Gecko Moria, who I thought should have been dead because he's a devil fruit user and Blackbeard collects those, so...
You would think so, but apparently Gecko Moria's fruit is so bad that even Blackbeard doesn't want it. I don't know why Blackbeard would want to hold this man in the cell, but he did, and apparently Perona is now here to rescue
I'm
Gecko
glad
Moria.
she's okay.
Yeah, I'm glad she's okay. Gecko Moria, I really don't give a crap. He's a very low-tier character in my opinion.
Honest.
I really could... He looks like a... He looks like a drumstick.
He is a drumstick.
Yes, he is. But next we see that Kobe is still lugging around his giant ball and chain, but he sees explosions and people yelling that strong Marines have arrived. And Kobe's thinking, oh my god, really? They came to rescue me? I screwed up so bad. This sucks, man. I didn't want people to have to save me. I wanted to do this on my own. I could handle the entirety of an Emperor's crew. This is nothing. Even though it's not even the entirety, but a lot of the pirates are... Yeah, it's just the easier... I wouldn't say the easy ones. I mean, his 2nd Division commander is still there. Shiryu is there, and so are some of his other commanders. So I can't imagine...
What's he doing, though?
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
And it gets even more absolutely nothing when we move on in a little bit. Essentially, we get introduced to the Sword members' powers. We see Gruss has created these clay golem marines, which at first the pirates think are Logia users, but in reality they're not, because they chop one of the clay golems' heads off and it just melts into a weird clay liquid and then it reforms back into...
You know who this guy reminds me of?
Who?
Didara.
Yeah, he does. He reminds me of Didara too, without the explosive clay. But then we move on, we get to see Vice Admiral Sewer's granddaughter, this hot girl with a whip who just whips shit. What she does is...
makes inanimate objects obey her with her powerful whip.
Yes, she is the ultimate dominatrix. She quite literally has the whip fruit, and currently they're working to round up all of Blackbeard's crew into the center of the island. And it's glorious in a second here. Before we get to that, we have to go over the next part where we see Hibari using Vegapunk's tech. We see the Eyeball prize-winning gunpowder flower in action. She is using it to put all of the Blackbeard pirates that are using guns into this what the hell is going on sort of mindset, because they're now firing flowers instead of bullets.
I like the one that goes... It's so pretty.
Yeah, his face is just like, oh, that's so cute. But quite literally, I didn't believe that the gunpowder flower actually had a real use. I guess this proves me wrong. They clearly do. Vegapunk made this as more of a defensive thing than an offensive weapon. But then we see Gruss. He's making more golems, a miniature of himself. We get an explanation of what he has, devil fruit-wise, which is the clay fruit. We see Tashigi, and we see Helmeppo, and then we see Garp. And they're all on Garp's ship, and Garp is using, essentially, a coupe de burst. His ship, this is like such a direct parallel of Luffy. This is quite literally...
Oh my god,
Luffy
yes.
This is Luffy as an old man, if Luffy were a Marine.
He's even sitting on the head of the ship.
Yeah, he sits on the head of the ship. He's doing this, like, just like Luffy would do. I mean, he's, like, just completely giving Luffy vibes here. It's, I mean, yeah, of course it's his grandfather. They're probably gonna have similarities, but this is just exactly what Luffy would be doing.
It's really cool to see.
Garp is up on the head of the ship, on the dog, and he's, like, basically, he's got everybody freaking out, because now they see him, right? They see what Garp is doing, that he's coming down from the sky, and literally, Blackbeard's commanders are like, run, get out, don't stay here.
I can't wait to figure out exactly how he got his ship in the air, because in the pictures, there is no, like, blast. Like how the coup de burst shows a blast, there is none of that.
I'm willing to bet that Garp just punched behind the ship and it just went flying up in the air, because that's how strong he is. And you might believe that here in a second, because in the following panel, we see Garp yell, "Do you know who you've kidnapped? That is my beloved apprentice, Kobe, the future of the Marines." But in the next part of the chapter, we see Garp coming down from the sky, acting just like Luffy, and he literally throws a punch that takes us straight from the One Piece universe to the Dragon Ball Z universe.
Dude, it's crazy.
It is nuts. It's called Galaxy Impact. You see Conqueror's Haki flying literally everywhere. There's electricity all over. He doesn't even touch the ground. And this massive, what almost looks like a giant ki blast just radiates out of his fist, this giant
like
dome.
A big dome.
It's like he fired a Kamehameha straight at the ground, just destroys the entire city. It's just obliterated. The town of Hachinosu and Rocky Port, done. Blackbeard's gonna be pissed. That is the end of the chapter. Anyway, that's all we got for you guys with this chapter. It was fire.
It was a great one.
It was amazing. We hope you guys enjoyed. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider watching another video. We pop you up on screen right about now. Until then, we'll see you guys again in the next video. Peace.
Bye.